Miami committed first-degree murder in the swamp today, man. The 41-17 beatdown is what we all had the joy of being able to watch on our television screens. And I'm going to be honest with you. As a diehard Miami fan, I was not expecting this game to be as one-sided as what it was. I thought that this was going to be a highly competitive game. It was going to come down to the wire in the fourth quarter. But after the first quarter, it was pretty evident that Miami was the better team. I mean, Cam Ward, this dude was looking like a superstar out there. Outside of that one interception that he threw, I mean, Florida could not stop this, brother. Anytime they sent the blitz after Cam Ward, he was always dissecting it. He was tearing Florida's defense up, no matter if they were sending pressure or if they were just giving him a clean pocket to operate. They couldn't do anything to stop Cam Ward. And defensively, Miami's pass rush was absolutely obliterating Florida up front. And it was so bad to the point where Graham Mertz got taken out of this game. Like, Miami put this dude out of the game due to Florida's inability to be able to keep Graham Mertz upright. I was not expecting such a one-sided affair, especially when Florida fans were hyping up just how hard it is to win in the swamp. You know, I find it so funny how Florida fans were chirping all offseason about how difficult this game was going to be for Miami, having to play it with 90,000 screaming fans. Cam Ward, how was he going to do in a new system? He could potentially struggle, get out to a slow start because this was a new team. And Mario Cristobal, you know, he couldn't be trusted. But what Florida fans didn't talk about enough is how Billy Napier couldn't be trusted. And the same issues that we saw out of Billy Napier last year with this team being undisciplined, the play calling being conservative, Austin Armstrong's defenses having coverage lapses, were the same problems that kept on being exploited by Miami in this game. I mean, Billy Napier, how many passes do you remember in this game being thrown past 15 yards or more? I can probably only tell you about 2 or 3 of them. How many times did Florida's defense have costly penalties on third down? And they weren't like face mask or pass interference. They were, you know, just dumb penalties. Penalties that made you go, bro, like, what are you doing? Why are you being so extra? Being undisciplined, not being well coached, is what we saw out of this Florida team tonight. And that's why I wasn't surprised at the outcome. I knew Miami was going to win this game. I've been saying it all offseason. I was surprised in the manner Miami won this game. I wasn't expecting a 41-17 slaughterfest. Florida couldn't even get a third down. They were 1-9 in third down situations. I don't think they converted a single third down until in the fourth quarter. Their first 8 third down attempts, they went 0-8. I mean, they dominated on the ground. They had 139 rushing yards. They were averaging 5 yards per carry. Normally, when Florida has success running the football, they end up having a pretty good game. But, I mean, when you look at how lackluster their passing offense was, it was really surprising because Florida does have a pretty good group of wide receivers. You got Eugene Wilson, you got Chimray DK, you got Elijah Badger. I mean, we didn't hear those guys' names being called that often. And I believe if Florida had Dan Mullen coaching in this game, it would have been way closer. Dan Mullen didn't lose to Miami. And I know that when Dan Mullen got fired, there was a lot of reasonings to go into that decision. Outside of that one losing season, you know, he didn't get along with the athletic director. People felt like he quit on the team because he was focusing on trying to become a head coach in the NFL. And that's understandable. But you have a hard time convincing me that in the new age of NIL and the transfer portal, Florida wouldn't be in better shape right now with Dan Mullen as their head coach as compared to Billy Napier. You know, like, even if all that is true about Dan Mullen, he quit on the team, he was eyeballing the NFL. You know, if you would have brought him back, talked it over, you know, he could have gotten way more out of being the head coach of Florida now than what it was a few years ago. I mean, you couldn't blame him for wanting to leave for the NFL. There are a lot of college coaches that want to leave for the NFL just because how rigorous it is to be a coach at the college level. It's like you're working nonstop. You got to recruit. You're always on the road. When you're in the NFL, you get days off. There are no days off in college football, really. And for Dan Mullen, I would like to believe that he would have had more success in recruiting now that you can buy players pretty much than what he did during his time. Because, he wasn't somebody that really cared too much about recruiting. He did enough, but it's not like Dan Mullen was just all flat recruiting. I mean, he recruited Kyle Trask, Kyle Pitts. Both those dudes were first round picks. How many first round picks has Billy Napier recruited and developed? Nobody. Ricky Pearsall doesn't count. He started out at Arizona State. Miami to dominate Florida the way that they did in this game really took me by surprise. And, Miami's going to be a great team this year. They're going to win that ACC. It's pretty clear that the ACC is possibly the weakest conference in college football that's considered a power conference. Virginia Tech lost to Vandy. I mean, Clemson got dragged by Georgia. Miami was the only team in this conference that really handled up and handled business this week. So, yeah, man, that's my thoughts on Miami versus Florida. Miami splatters the Gators in the swamp. They just painted the swamp in Florida's blood that Miami is back. And I really do believe that the U is going to be back this year. I'm not going to say the U is back right now because, Miami only beat Florida. Florida isn't going to be that good this year. They had an over-under win total of 4.5 for a reason.